Tim Storey, keynote speaker for Impact Effect 23 in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to be downtown October 27th, and we've got the man himself, Tim Storey, with us. And I'm just so excited to have you join us, brother.
Jim, what a dream team you got. It's quite a group of speakers. Not easy to get all those speakers because everybody's busy, but everybody loves you and loves what you're about. So it's a privilege for me to be part of the team.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. You know, you've touched so many lives. You've met so many people. You know, I listened to all your stuff, and I'm excited. You know, I'm excited to see you in person. I'm excited to introduce you to our community and the attendees, and we get to do it right in Nashville, Tennessee. So what else is better, you know?
You're right. And for those that are coming, it's important to note they're coming from around the nation, right? It's not just from one state. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we actually, right now, I just looked at the ticket sales. We've got about 84% out of state flying in. So you know us Nashvillians, right? We're going to wait till the last minute and get those tickets. But we have seen a lot of people book in advance coming out of state. So it's going to be a great mix of folks in our own backyard. It's going to be a great mix of folks from the East Coast, the West Coast. We've got some people from Canada coming down. So we're excited. Very excited.
Tell me about the theme and then what people can expect from the conference. And then I'll tell you what I'm going to share on.
Perfect. So there's three themes. The first theme is sales, growth, tactics, and strategies. We've got 4 speakers going to come and chat about that. The second theme is personal branding. We believe that building that brand is just so important, whether you're in any role, any company, corporate, entrepreneur. And then also we've got communication being the third theme. So verbal communication, mindset, a lot what you're going to talk about. And then also physical and body language. So we're gonna dive deep into facial recognition and body language, and then choosing your words carefully. So
I like that.
It's gonna be a good time. And overall, the theme is you're one conversation away from changing your life.
Mm-hmm.
So we've curated the room. We have vetted people. We want quality, not necessarily quantity. And I'm actually personally calling every attendee and having a conversation with them, and we're arranging the seating strategically to hope conversations happen that change lives.
I really like that. And there's no doubt about it. One conversation can change your life. I saw that happen to me as a young guy when I started to meet a lot of guys in Beverly Hills who were older actors that really started to mentor me, and then older businessmen that started to mentor me, like Lee Iacocca. I met him when I was like only 28 years of age. And just conversing with him, dialoguing with him, really altered my life. So I like what you're doing, Jim, by curating this type of group. It's like a mastermind. And bringing people in from all over America and probably all over the world to come in and really see our lives grow in even a better way.
Yeah. Tell me more about that conversation that changed your life, Tim.
Well, I think that I've been fortunate to have a lot of conversations with humans that have helped me. As you know, we learn 3 primary ways: education, conversation, and observation. Observation by what we see, education, what we learn, conversation of what we dialogue about. Conversation is so powerful. I've spent my life studying on how to be a better speaker, listener. In conversation, you have to have synergy. And so I think you have to realize sometimes in a conversation let me slow down and realize who I'm talking to. So whether it be me having amazing conversations with Oprah Winfrey or Steve Harvey or P. Diddy or Lee Iacocca, I always stop and realize who I'm talking to. Like when I'm talking to you right now, I'm in the moment. I'm fully present, fully feeling, fully alive. So I think my life is a collection of amazing conversations. So the one with Lee Iacocca, he just taught me a lot about being a good businessman, and I became a good businessman.
I like it. I like it. P. Diddy, huh? Tell me about that one.
I mean, well, that's my friend. So
Of
so
course.
that's a lot of conversations over a lot of years. And I mean, there's things that we learn from everybody, right? I mean, I learned from a waiter. I learned from electricians. I learned from moguls. P. Diddy. I think it's more observation and conversation and seeing the way he works in and outside of a studio to build an empire where he's worth over $1 billion now. But I learn a lot by watching a guy like that.
It's amazing. It's important. It's important. Um, so, someone looking to have some of these deep conversations, any advice that you would share with someone? We've got a lot of folks coming to the conference that may be struggling, maybe feeling stagnant, maybe looking and seeking a powerful connection, relationship, or conversation, essentially. And, we believe that relationships are rocket ships, right? And they can propel your business, your mind, create certain belief, right? Emotions attached to that belief. So, is there any advice for someone seeking some of these powerful, impactful conversations?
Yeah, I think number one is to be your authentic self. If you're shy, be shy. If you're outgoing, be outgoing. I don't think there's any magical formula to curate a magical conversation. I think some of the best conversations I've ever had with someone is it wasn't expected to go and become that amazing. It's just like two people dialoguing. So I think the key to a great conversation is your interest in someone else and being more thoughtful about what they're sharing about what than what you're thinking of sharing. So I learned this from Larry King, the great Larry King, who was one of the best interviewers in the world, who was on CNN. He told me that his strength was curiosity. So I'm very curious. And so when you're curious and caring and you're looking for the best in others, great magical conversations will come.
It's amazing. Amazing. Feels like a lot of alignment when you're maybe giving opposed to looking to receive, right?
Yeah, and I think that if you're not careful, people try to make a dialogue with somebody almost like a first date, and there's a nervousness to it, and how am I coming across? I never feel that way. Like I remember one time I was with Steven Soderbergh, and I'm saying this stuff on purpose. It pushes people's buttons, but I was actually at George Clooney's house. So George Clooney had like 8 of us at his house, and I was talking to Steven Soderbergh, who did Ocean's 11, 12, and 13. I wasn't trying to stir up Soderbergh. I just was interested in how it was to work with Brad Pitt and do the scenes with George Clooney at the same time and all the other big cast that he had. And I remember when we were done, he goes like, Tim, you ask amazing questions. So again, no matter what somebody does, just be interested in them, be curious, and then great conversations can happen.
I think that's so important, Tim, and I'm learning to have more of those conversations myself, right? I'm always learning. And, part of me at one point wouldn't even dig and ask you questions right now, right? So the growth, I think, is so important. And for me specifically, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, but for me specifically, I think it just took practice and some guts,
Yeah.
and in a loving, caring way. And
Mhm.
people can feel the energy and the vibe. Like, I truly am curious and I truly want to know. So that way we can have dialogue and I can maybe make a suggestion if we're comfortable at that moment, or make a recommendation, or think of a referral, right? Who can maybe help in the process because maybe a problem was identified or a roadblock. So how have you just continued to um, you know grow those amazing questions and kind of work through that over the years?
Okay, so let's role play me and you. Okay. All right.
Do it.
So if I came up to you at a conference, I'd just say, "Hey, how you doing?" And so first of all, tell me how tall you are. How tall are you?
5.
Huh?
6'5".
Okay. So that's what I know you as, a tall guy. So if I approached you, I'd say to you, "Hey Jim, with all that height, did you play sports in high school? So tell me."
Yep. Play baseball, basketball.
Okay. So I would say to you, did you play basketball because you wanted to, or because people expected you to?
More so expected.
Okay. So now we're having a conversation. So I would say to you, did you learn to love it, or did you just kind of like tolerate it?
I tolerated it, and then I ended up quitting and really focusing on baseball because I
Okay.
enjoyed that.
You see how we're in a conversation?
Yep.
Then I would say to you, yeah, it's similar to me. Like in basketball, I was a point guard. I'm 6'1", but in football, I was really good, but only up until I was like 13, because all these guys started getting so big and smashing me around. I didn't like the feeling anymore. And so now we're in a conversation. So the question is, why is Tim Storey, life coach guy, talking to Jim just about sports? It's conversation. So
Mm,
that's conversation, and then we can then switch to another subject.
of course. Yeah. So it's that entryway and just that curiosity level to continue to learn, right? Because in that conversation, you now know that there was a period of time, and maybe I gave you dates or years, or similar to how you did, right? With up to 13. Now I know that there was a transition in what you enjoyed and what sports and what you liked. Gives more
Yes.
depth for
And now
conversation.
I know a little more about you being 6'5", that I'll always remember. And then I'll always remember that you like being an athlete, but not necessarily playing all of these different sports. And then we could take it into like, hey, I heard about your business. When did you start? So it's just being curious because you're really curious.
I love it. I love it. It's one of my passions to try and break those barriers for a lot of people. I come across, I am 6'5". I've got a lot of energy, right? And I'm very curious, and I know not a lot of people have that, right? Is there any advice to give maybe the introvert that's coming to the conference, the person who knows they're looking for new wisdom, knowledge, strategies, knows they need some relationships, knows that they need help, right?
Yeah.
But this isn't their jam. This isn't their scene. They don't just approach people at a conference. Any advice for that person? Because we do have a lot of those folks joining us at
Yeah.
Impact Tech 23.
So I think it's two things. I think those of us that are not introverts should be approaching those that are introverts. And so that's a thing that I do constantly, that other speakers are kind of blown away. So if it's like me, Grant Cardone, and Ed Milet, and we're all speaking somewhere, I literally am the guy that likes to go out in the crowd and talk to everybody. And I will even look for people that are sitting in a seat by themselves and then go like, hey, James. And they'll go like, how do you know I'm James? I go, your name tag. What brought you to this conference? And then this guy says to me in New York recently, aren't you one of the speakers? I go, yeah, I'm just talking to people. So those of us that are not introverts should be looking for those that are, because we're all a community. We're people. We're human beings. And then for those that are introverts, just put yourself out there a little bit. And even if it's challenging and you have to be a little bit courageous, just say, hey, I'm just meeting new people, state where you're from. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, wherever you're from. And then just ask somebody, why did you decide to come to this conference? And but it is stepping out, but it's going to be good for you in other parts of your life.
Of course. I think it's just that getting over that fear of not knowing what to say or not, having the next answer or example or reference. And I think that's okay, right? Like that's not necessarily an embarrassing moment, because dialogue is two people. And
you don't want the next question. You want to just jump in.
Yeah.
And so let me give you guys some dating advice for you single people. When you go on a date, don't have like an agenda. Just be there and take in the ambiance, like what you see. Like yesterday, I went out with my sister, and it's my sister, okay? And she's a couple years older than me. I didn't have like an agenda what I was going to talk to her about. Well, an hour and a half later, we were just continuing to laugh and talking about travel and about life and about aging and not aging. And I had a blast with my own sister, but it was about being in the moment and just letting it happen.
I love it. Being present, so important, especially today, right? With the distractions and the go. And, the world we live in is so hectic and chaotic. And sometimes we just got to enjoy those moments. Still plan for the decades, right? But
yeah.
Enjoy those moments.
So, Jim, after watching me speak a few times and seeing some of my content, what are you wanting me to speak on? And tell me why.
So I want you to just remind people of the strength that they have and the opportunity that's available, right? So I think for me, a lot of your content, a lot of the conversations with other speakers, people that know you, talking with Joseph, it's so impactful, that the energy you bring and that change of mindset where great things do happen, great things will happen. And of course you got to work for it, but
yeah,
I think it really starts with here and even more so in your heart right here.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And as somebody said probably 100 years ago, who knows who came up with this one, but your mindset is yours to set. And your mindset is yours to set. And I think I become a master in the mindset because I had to. And growing up in a lower income family in a very cramped and crowded little apartment, 7 people in a 2-bedroom apartment to start with, I had to really fix my mindset. So your mindset, as you know, is your perspective and the way in which you view things. So I created a miracle mentality in my mindset since I was a kid, and then continue to grow that mindset. And I always say this, that your mindset is your VIP pass to anywhere. And so by curating, creating the right mindset, it's your VIP pass to anywhere.
I love it. I was talking with a friend the other day, and we were talking about, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and all that, and how they talk about, they have a meeting with the cabinet. It's all these people and these philosophies, and and it's all imagination, right?
Yeah.
But the reality of it is you've got to put yourself in a position where you belong, where you think you belong, where you want to be. And
Yes.
it's just another reminder that, you know, put yourself in that position, give yourself that opportunity, you know. And I've been telling folks, like, this conference was so intentionally set to be at the end of October, because I want people to invest in themselves, their minds, their skills, relationships, the human capital of the room, right? Access to speakers like you and the other 9 speakers and the people in the room. And I think it's just so important to vision yourself of where you want to go.
Yeah. And for those that have signed up and those who are about to sign up, um, people like myself and Jim will be walking the room, dialoguing with you, and it's a time to get close to us, to find out how we did it, what we're doing, why it's working. It's a very rare opportunity, because in a lot of conferences, the speakers hide in the green rooms, and then they get up and they perform and they do what they do and then they leave. But this is a opportunity for you to really dialogue with us and get a closer relationship and a closer view into people that are making things happen like yourself, because you're making things happen as well.
I love it. I love it. And that's really where I feel the intentionality and the difference in Impact Effect 23, because, you know, one of the important things for me is that access, right? And I've been telling everybody, research all the speakers, come prepared, do some pre-work. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've not been prepared and then have had an opportunity, and a speaker or an educator wasn't very interested in me, and I didn't have it, right? And 10 minutes later, I was like, I wish I asked this question. And it cost me more money, to be honest, right? I had to pay again to see them or be there. And, you know, I just think it's so important to come prepared and really dial in and take advantage of the opportunity, because all the speakers are going to be walking around. All the speakers are going to be engaging. And was one of the requirements when choosing the lineup, you know?
Yeah, I like what you're saying. I've spoken at all but 2 of Grant Cardone's 10X conferences. And the second one, Ed Milet was speaking. And at that time, he was a big speaker, but now he's like a monster. He's in the top 3 speakers in the world right now. But at that time, he was not, but he was still great. But now he just like has so escalated his game. But I had studied him, even though I had not met him. So when Grant sat us next to each other, we both had an understanding of each other that was really cool. And now we're like best of friends. I don't think we would have been best of friends the same had we not taken the time to really know about each other in advance and then ask the right questions when we were sat next to each other at the dinner. It's a good way of looking at it, right?
So important. I mean, that right there, folks. I mean, you heard it from Tim Storey himself talking about his relationship with Ed Milet. I mean, if you're talking about 2 legends in this professional development space, and Tim's doing his research and Ed's doing his research, and then they meet and the relationship becomes the rocket ship, right? And it's just so important, because this stuff isn't just for people that are looking to come up or to grow rapidly or doing it or gonna be the next big time. Like, you guys are the big time people, and you still are doing this. You're still doing pre-work. You're still engaging, building relationships, and, you know, conversing. And it's just so important. It's just such another reminder that everybody needs to play at that level all the time,
Yeah.
because people are so important to our
And
growth.
I'll speak for Ed, because we're that close. We think similar. That I think that Ed is doing an assignment. I'm doing an assignment. So neither one of us think that we're bigger than someone else. I think that by the grace of God and hard work, life has put both of us in some pretty cool spots. But the great thing about a conference like this, you never know who's next. It's like in the NBA, you never know who's the next Steph Curry. I mean, Steph Curry comes from a small college. Nobody knew that he was going to be Steph Curry. I mean, he's a great player. So all of you that are watching right now, we're going to be nice to you anyway, but I'm going to be extra nice because you never know what you're going to become.
I love it. I love it. Such a powerful lesson. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. What other speakers are you most excited about spending some time with?
You. What are you sharing about?
I'm going to talk about relationships and deep connection. I think it's something that's transitioned my whole world. Just being more involved in people and asking the right questions like you talked about, but more so getting deep and getting to the root and showing love and care around it. I've had so many conversations in my life that were so surface level and that were so protected and suppressed. And I just want people to be more real and vulnerable. And I think in that process, relationships and bonds become so much deeper and tighter. And we're all looking for community, especially now, especially after 2020 and the pandemic. And I see the separation in people and communities. And I just want to give people tools and motivation to grow relationships, because I believe that people help you in the darkest of days, and people are at the top of the mountains celebrating your highest wins with you, and they're there in between, right? And without people, without the human connection, without true friendship, true love, we're living a wasteful life. We're living a life that we're not seeking our full potential and helping others and winning and losing together.
I like that. Like the shirt I'm rocking today, I'll show it to you. It says mindset. There's a mind, and then it says the X here. I work with a gaming company, which is the #1 gaming company in the world, Xset. We have almost 3 billion gamers today, but they brought me in as a mental health coach in the gaming community because so many young people that are gaming have a disconnection because they're just so caught up in the game and gaming. And so we've been doing these big summits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But whether you're in gaming or you're in business or you're single or you're married, you need the very thing that Jim is talking about. And so make sure and come to the conference. Tell us, how can they get their tickets?
ImpactEffect23.com.
Okay.
We got 500 seats. We're almost halfway full, and tickets are flying. I'm so excited because not only are we bringing you and 9 other speakers and 5 special guests, but the people we've signed up over the last couple of weeks, Tim, have been absolutely amazing. And in my conversations, they're looking to connect. They're looking to grow. They're looking for business partners. They're looking for, marketing companies and entrepreneurs to bring onto their team. And there's just so much opportunity come October 27th at Impact Effect 23. And it just excites me so much because, these conferences are so amazing. We have amazing people and mentors like yourself, but that's not even it. The people in the room, like it gets me so excited because I get to have conversations with you today. And I've had 3 or 4 conversations selling some tickets and some sponsors.
Yep.
They're just amazing people too. I'm like, man, this thing is going to be awesome.
I love it. Okay. So guys, go to the website, get your tickets, and also tell people about it. This is something that can really help change people's lives and just set them up for 2024 which you're going to have a great year this year still, but we're going to set you up for success. So make sure and do that. So Jim, I'm excited. Thanks for allowing me to be part of what you're doing.
I appreciate you, Tim. Thank you, brother.